everybody. Let me see if I can get it up on my iPad. I have to turn down the volume too. There we go. Well, I'm not showing up on the iPad yet. There it is. Okay. All right. I'm a little early, but I wanted to get set up, so we'll wait a few minutes and see who comes in. We're going to play with the Joseph's Coat technique. Hi, tonight, and I'm going to show you how to do the true Joseph's Coat technique, but then I'm also going to show you a variation on it. Hi, Barb. I just kind of did this several months ago, and it was I titled it Robbie's Coat because it is similar but different. So I want to show you how to do the original Joseph's Coat, and then I'm going to show you my variation on it. So I hope you enjoy it. It's not a hard technique to do. You just have to spend some time sponging, and if you can do that, then you're okay. I am going to be using the regular sponges, not the brushes tonight. I was a little reluctant to try the brushes for tonight's technique because I know that those work, and I want to make sure it turns out okay. Everybody ready for Thanksgiving or family coming in? I'm staying here and going next door to my best friend Barb, who's watching right now. It'll be fun. I've always done Thanksgiving with the girls, and this year it just didn't work out. Their dad was taking them, and so Jess was going to take advantage of no kids and go out of town. And I said, well, I'm not going up there. So I decided to stay here, and Barb and her sister and I and the family all the families are gonna get together and just enjoy our time with each other. So I'm looking forward to it. I picked up my cranberries today. I'm making homemade cranberry sauce and my ice cream, so I'm all set. If you need anything else, Barb, let me know. I'll be glad to bring it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started because there's some heat embossing involved in this, and with my technique, my twist on it, it takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to turn this around. Let's see. And I just have to, woohoo, I did it right. I had to stop and think about how it's supposed to be. And then I have to make sure I don't hit the buttons on the side to disconnect it. All right. Now okay, I think we're set. All right. I took a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Hi, Barbara. And I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to take, and I'm going to put some color on this. And I had to decide what I was going to do. So I decided, let's try some butterflies. So I'm going to use Butterfly Wishes and this butterfly because I think it'll be pretty with all the different colors on it. So my colors that I've chosen are Daffodil Delight, Bermuda Bay, and Mango Melody. Sorry, I keep saying medley. All right, so what you want to do is you want to apply your color to your cardstock, and you have to kind of really work at it. Make sure you start off the paper and go in. If not, you'll get splotches. I'll show you what I mean. If you start here, it doesn't show up, but you get splotches, and you want a smooth texture. So if you start off, it gets rid of that. This is going to shake the stand also. I apologize. I'm going to take some Bermuda Bay and I'm going to put it in starting over here. This one you'd be able to see. So if you start on, see how you get that splotchy look? If you start off the paper and work in, it's better. You get a smooth coloring on it. Okay. And now I'm going to try some mango. Hi, Carol. I'm going to try some mango medley. And I'm trying to use different parts of my paper so I don't contaminate the ink as I bring it on. And I cut this a little bit bigger because I know that can happen at the corners. So I have a little bit of leeway. And when you sponge, I have a tendency to do this. I sponge in a circle and you end up with a spot in the center. You want to make sure when you do that, you keep your sponging in a tight circle, or go back in like I'm doing here because there's a light spot. You also want to overlap your colors so that they kind of blend together. Let's do some. All right, I'm going to stamp this off and come in, and I'm going to start out light and go heavy. Just a little bit. All right, now. And you can do this in big spaces. You can do small spaces. I'll try and do some smaller spots up top so you can get an idea. But make sure you don't have any white spaces showing. So let's do a small space here. All right, and I'm going to come in here with the yellow. And I'm covering the whole card. Go here. I'm going to go down a little bit and into there because there's some white. And when you mix the daffodil and the Bermuda Bay, you may get some green, which is fine. It just gives you another color in there. All right. I wouldn't recommend using more than 2 or 3 colors. Hi, Christy. Hi, Myra. If you use more than 2 or 3 colors, what ends up happening is if you get up to 4, it can get muddy. Okay. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some more. There's a lot of space down here. I'm going to add some extra in here, just so that we get some variation. Okay, let me close these up because we're ready for the next step. And get these out of the way. Now what you need to take and do is you've got to trap that color. But you want to make sure this is dry. So I'm going to take and heat set this. So give me a minute. I moved my heat tool over. Okay, you just have to make sure that this is totally dry because you're going to take and you're going to clear emboss the image. And if it's not dry, the embossing powder will stick to the ink. So I'm taking my embossing buddy and I'm going over the whole thing. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to use some Versamark and I'm going to ink up my butterfly and stamp it. Now you will probably not be able to see the embossing until I add the top coat. All right, but I'm trying to make sure that when I add my butterfly, I get a variety of color. All right, and I'm also trying to vary the way that the butterfly is. And if they overlap, it's okay, because I just did on that one. All right, I gotta get down here. This one needs some. Then I can see where there's spaces, so I'm filling in the spaces. And I'm gonna do. I think I'll do it this way. All right, now that I've got my butterfly all stamped, I'm going to take my clear embossing powder and I'm going to add it to my card. And that's why you need to make sure you use that embossing buddy, because if the ink is wet, the embossing powder will stick to it. And I am ready to emboss, so let me do that. And what happens is the embossing traps the ink underneath. And like I said, you probably won't see the butterfly until I add the ink on top. You can do this with any image. The more open images are better because the color shows through. Solid images don't work as nice because you don't get a variety of colors unless it's a really tiny image. Okay, so I've got it embossed. All right, let me take and wave it. And now the fun begins. And I'm going to try a sponge brayer, but I have my other brayer because usually what happens is the ink has to build up on this. But you take a sponge brayer, and I think it's going to take it a while for the black to build up. And then you go over it. And you want it really dark, so it does take it a while. I do have my other brayer here in case this one took too long, but you don't want any, where there is no embossing, you want it to be black, really black. So you have to go over it a lot. Because if the color shows through, it's not as effective. And you can kind of see what I mean. All right. This is the hardest part, is getting the color on there. But once your sponge gets soaked, then you're good. It doesn't take as much. And you can kind of see all the colors coming through. But then I'm going to show you my variation. I'm going to flip this around on this. And I'm going to use snowflakes. For mine. And I will create a card for this and post it. I didn't want to do it tonight because it does take a while for this process, so to speak. And you can kind of see that there was probably a little powder there that's peeking through, because no matter how many times I go over it and over here, it's not going away. All right. Now, what I need to do is I need to pull out my cloth, and you need to use either a cloth or paper towel, tissue, something, but it can't have any scent in it if you use a tissue. It's got to be just plain. I do like the, and see, you do get, that's coming off of the embossed part. Betty Ann, I do, it's also messy. I do like the sponge brayers, but you have to build up the ink on them. The advantage is you can take and wash them out, so I can wash that out and reuse it. All right, I'm still getting stuff off. Let's see how much more. And I usually wipe until no more black comes off. I'm getting this better. It's not much coming off now. So there. Because if you don't, the black doesn't dry on your embossing. So there's what Joseph's coat looks like, and you can see there's different colors trapped underneath. But I'm going to show you how to do my variation. So I'm going to get another piece of paper and pull it out. And I'm going to get my other piece of cardstock. And I'm going to start with my Versamark, and I'm doing snowflakes on this one. So I'm going to stamp this one, and I'm not going to stamp too many, and you'll see why. I'm going to stamp this one, and then I'm going to stamp this one. All right, and I'm going to heat set these. Now, when I didn't use embossing buddy on that, boy, I lucked out with that. I forgot that. All right, so I'm going to heat set these, and then I'm going to add another color. What you will end up with mine is you'll have snowflakes, the whole snowflake, but it will be, there will be different colors versus multicolored. All right, so I've got that, wait a minute, it doesn't look like it's all done there. All right, I think I got it all. Okay, so there's that. Now, what I'm going to take and do is I'm going to take Seaside Spray, and I'm going to add Seaside Spray all over the card. So I'm adding only one color. So it's similar to Emboss Resist, but because I'm using different colors, I'm going to get different colored snowflakes. And see, you can see how I go in a circle and I miss that spot. And this will be okay if there's lights, like that will be okay. But you do this over the whole card. And you could use the sponge dauber, the sponge roller on this, but I just figured I would do it this way, because that way I don't want it too heavy, and with the sponge brayer, you can get it heavy. So I'm gonna work this all over. And we will cover this whole thing. I'm going to be using, this is Seaside Spray, and you can see how it gets dark when you add more layers. Pacific Point, and then my top color is going to be Night of Navy. Usually with a Joseph's Coat, your top layer is black, brown, things like that. All right, I'm going to stop there. Oh, wait a minute. I just feel it needs a little bit more in here, and here, and here, and here. There, that's a little better. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to use my, I've got to dry this, so don't forget to heat set your ink. And it doesn't affect what you've already embossed. Okay, I've got that one done. Now I'm going to go over it with my embossing buddy. And now I'm going to add some more. Let's see, let's add one here. And I'm using the smaller ones more than the larger ones. Let's put one up here. And now let's add a large one. And I think I need another piece of a large one down here. Let's put it here. Okay, now I'm going to add my embossing powder. I love taking techniques and putting my twist on them, just for some variety. Okay, let me take and heat set my other snowflakes. Oh, hold on, I see a lot of powder down here on the bottom. All right, got it that time. Didn't want to come off. Just make sure you get your embossing buddy on your image really good, or your paper good. And make sure your paper is good and dry. Oops, missed this area down here. Yeah, I see some embossing powder was there. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this off. And now I'm going to add Pacific Point all over. And this is a darker color, so it'll... So when we're done, you're going to end up with white snowflakes, Seaside Spray snowflakes, and Pacific Point snowflakes. You just have to remember to wipe off your images. And I will use the sponge. I have the other sponge brayer out. I will use it for the top layer. This pad is really juicy, so it covers really well. And I'm making sure that it's dark enough. All right. I'm gonna wipe off my snowflakes before I do the next part, because I don't want to, if when I heat set this, I don't want to trap the that one looks like it's, maybe I smudged it a little. I don't want to trap, because your ink will dry some, and I don't want to trap the ink inside the heat embossing. All right, now I'm going to heat set this ink. Oh, look at my hand. Goodness gracious. This is messy. A lot messier than it should be. All right, let me make sure this is good and dry. And this way you can see the different layers in between. See, there's a lot of embossing powder down there. I may not have... I may have missed it. Maybe it was still wet and I didn't realize it. All right, now I'm going to take my embossing buddy. I'm going to really put it on this time. So can you see we've got some white ones, we've got some light blues. Now we're going to have a medium blue. All right, let me see. Give me a large one. Hi, Barbara. And I'm going to put it right about there. And I'll take a small one and I'll put it in here. And you can see now where you need to add. I'm going to put this one up here. I'll put another one down here. If you do this, you want to make sure that, like with snowflakes, I was using blues. Your blues have quite a bit of contrast, because if not, it's not going to look as good. And then the top layer is going to have a lot of blue to it, the darker blue. And I need one more over here. I'm trying to get the edges so that it... Okay, now got to add my embossing powder to this. I'm off camera, I know, I'm sorry. All right, let me see if I've got them all. Let me move this stuff out of the way. I'll pull it over. Get that out of here. Oh, I can't get rid of that. I got to use it again for the top layer. All right, I think I have... Oh, I just got it on my table. I don't have any Swiffers up here either. Okay, let's heat set this, see? Let me see if I can scoop that off and into my container so I don't have it on my table. All right, here we go. Once your heat gun gets really hot, it goes really fast. Okay. Now, let me get my towel again, and I'm going to these are not going to show up as well until you get your Night of Navy on them. So I'm kind of taking off Okay, now it's time to take the Night of Navy to it, and I'm going to use a sponge brayer. And you could very easily stop with just the white and the Seaside Spray. And just have the two colors. But see, now you can see that other color popping through. Now, I may end up cutting this down because that's messed up over there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the ink wasn't dry or what. Okay. My Night of Navy ink pad's pretty juicy, so it's... But as you can see, once you get your brayer really covered with the ink, it goes on better. I was a little afraid that the Pacific Point wasn't going to show up. But once you start adding the Night of Navy in, so your top layer needs to be a dark color. So if you're going to, you know, do greens, make sure your top, if you're going to do like leaves, do your leaves in green, but your top 3 layers of green, 3 different colors of green, but your top layer needs to be the darkest green you can get. So like Mossy Meadow, things like that. And because this is messed up down here, that's the reason why, hi Linda, you want to make sure you cut your paper larger than you need it. Because see, I can cut it off and use that as a panel. I can even cut it that way too. I'm adding lots of ink here. So this is my variation on Joseph's coat. You saw how the first one was done with lots of colors, but here's a way to do it with, you know, say a different hues of the same color. All right, I think that's pretty good. Let me get my towel back out. And wipe it off so you can really see the colors. The key is to make sure you wipe it off in between, because if not, your white snowflakes won't be white. So we do have 3 different color snowflakes. There's still a lot coming off. I'm looking for a clean spot so I can see. And you can't heat set this until you get these wiped off, because if you do, what will happen is your snowflakes will take on the same color. I'm really focusing on those white ones to get that ink off. If I had heat set that, we wouldn't have seen all these colors. Okay, it's getting there. White really pops, and that's the key. That kind of gives you the difference. Okay, so let me pull this up so you can see. All right, here are your white snowflakes. These are your Seaside Spray snowflakes, and then all the rest of these are the Pacific Point. So you can, you can do more white if you wanted it or whatever. So there's my variation. Again, I call it Robbie's coat because it's not a true Jacob's coat. It uses the same idea. And here's the Joseph's coat, not Jacob's, Joseph's coat. So with this one, you have, like, there's 2 colors here, there's 2 colors here, there's like 3 colors here. So you have colors all blended on the same image. With this one, your images are solid, which I like, especially for snowflakes. I don't think a snowflake would look good if it was 2 or 3 different colors. So what do you think, ladies? Linda says it's pretty. Thanks for sharing, Linda. I think, let's see, you could do leaves on here with green. What else could we do? Ooh, you could do roses. Use a small rose. I was gonna say First Frost, but that's too, I think that's too solid of a stamp. Roses in pinks, and put Mary Merlot as your top layer. Ooh, I've got ideas going like crazy. I may be playing with this idea and seeing what I can come up with. This is fun. Purples. Wonder what we could do. Let's see, leaves, flowers, butterflies, snowflakes. I was just trying to think of something else to do with the flowers. With the purples. I don't know. I'm looking at stamp sets I've got sitting over here. See, there's nothing. You could do the leaves in green, but you can also do the leaves in fall colors. You could do red and an orange and a green, sponge like True Jacobs coat, stamp your leaves, and then put Early Espresso on the top, or stamp leaves all over in red, cover it with yellow, and do it the same way as this. So look at that. We just came up with 5 ideas that you could do with this. I will make these into cards so that you can see them, and I may leave this on here like this. Maybe I have a snowflake die I can use that's big enough, or maybe my sentiment could go over top of that to mess it up. But that's the key, is that's in white, that's embossed, so you just have to be careful with it on it. So all right, let me turn this around, and I hope you guys will give this a try. I know I will. I have some time that I can play, so hopefully I can try some of these ideas and show them to you and see what happens. You never know. Might come up with a few others. It is fun, Linda. I suggest the sponge brayers, but I'm going to wash these out and they're going to have to dry, so it'll be a while before I can do anything. Somebody told me, and I don't know if it's true, you get 2 other, when you order these, you get 4 of the sponge brayers, but somebody else told me, you know those curlers we used to use years ago, and they were the sponge curlers, and you rolled your hair up in it and you flipped this thing over and locked it in place? Somebody said those sponges fit in here. So I'm thinking like Dollar Tree would probably have those sponge rollers, I don't know, and you could use those in there and see, and then you don't have to worry about it, because these do take a while to dry, because I take them off of here and I really squeeze it out so that the ink gets out all the way. All right, ladies, look for some ideas over the next few days. I will post just the sheet that I created and then the card that I create with it, so you can see. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. I will not be here next week since it's Thanksgiving. And if you're traveling, travel safe, have fun, enjoy your family, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.